What is up, Watch Fam? I am Anna. Today I'm wearing my retro Casio, which I love, and I'll be answering some questions from Instagram. Let's do it.
Boom, Watch Fam.
A couple weeks ago, months ago, I don't know. I can't really tell anymore. I asked everyone on Instagram to submit questions to me through the Theo and Harris Instagram account, and I got a ton of responses. I was only able to answer like 7 or 8 in my last video, which you can see right there, but today I wanted to keep answering them. So let's get into the first question, which is, what are my thoughts on Laurent Ferrier? Long story short, I have a ton of respect for the brand and the man who started it. We're actually just starting to work with them, which is very exciting, so you'll probably see some reviews in the near future. Laurent Ferrier, the man, started the company in 2010 after having worked at Patek Philippe for 15 years. Laurent Ferrier cases, designs, and movements are all original and very beautiful, and sometimes you get to see the inspiration from his years at Patek show through. The first watch that I remember seeing from Laurent Ferrier was the Gallet Square. I remember being really struck by specifically this case. It has these beautiful rounded edges, and while it probably would be too big for me, I just loved its combination of refined dial design and text and the color schemes with this sort of bold and very thick but still kind of gentle case design. I don't think I had ever seen a watch like that. At the time it came out, I was really new to watches, and this was something that I thought was very inventive and really interesting. Another watch that I think is particularly interesting is their annual calendar, which is reminiscent of the Patek Philippe 5029. Patek Philippe released the 5029 in a limited 30-watch production run in the 90s. Designed by Jean-Pierre Hagman, who is a case designer and works a lot with Patek Philippe and is specifically known for his minute repeater designs. It appears that Laurent Ferrier took this case design and made it completely his own, and in it housed an entirely different complication. I think that both dial designs fit this case design very well, and I might even favor the newer one in Laurent Ferrier, although the Patek is extremely beautiful. So anyways, love this brand. There's great originality and great design, and I'm really excited to get my hands on some of their watches. So the next question is the best movements in the watch industry. This subject is very layered and very technical, and for that reason, I'm not going to go into all of the details in this video, but I do want to mention 3 movements that I think are exceptional. The first is the FP Journe Chronometre Souverain. It's the caliber 1304. This movement meets COSC standard. It's made in rose gold. It's a 56-hour power reserve with subsidiary seconds. The finishing all around is beautiful, and this brand, as well as the other 2 brands that I'm going to mention, the finishing and design all around is very thoughtful and very well done. The second movement is Gronefeld's 1941 Remontoir movement, which is the caliber G05. A Quill Pad review that I was reading called this movement a feast, and I think that that's a great way to put it. The finishing is different all over this movement. The design of each piece is sharp and detailed, but it's not harsh, and there is a difference there. The piece as a whole is incredibly inviting. It's heavily stylized all over. The stainless steel bridges are made to look like the facades on Dutch houses, which is a really interesting touch. And the hand beveling and micro blast finishing in the centers is a great combination. I really enjoy the relief engraving on these bridges as opposed to the standard engraving. You can also see mirror finishing, white gold, yellow gold, stainless steel on the movement. It's just incredibly tasteful all over. The third movement is the Lange Sohne 1815 Chronograph, which is the L9515. The finishing on this movement is beautiful, like the entirety of the Lange Sohne movement line. Because it's housing a chronograph with a flyback function, this movement is complex and deep. Of course, the hand-engraved balance cock is a stunner in this movement. It has over 300 parts total, and each detail is finely finished. It beautifully displays the complexity of this movement in a flawless way. I'd encourage everyone to take a closer look at these manufacturers and specifically at their movements because they're producing really remarkable stuff. Real quick, I want to remind you all that we are giving away a strap. We're going to pick one winner who can choose the leather strap of their choice from our Jean Rousseau collection. All you have to do to enter to win is subscribe to this YouTube channel and comment on my last video with a thoughtful response. I'll link it right there. You still have some time to enter to win. I'm announcing the winner in my next video. Okay, next question. I'm thinking of selling my Black Bay 58 for a Datejust 1603 with a white Buckley dial. thoughts. I reviewed the Black Bay 58 2 weeks ago in that video, which you can watch here. The Black Bay 58 is a modern Tudor watch. It was released in 2018 and it retails for $3,700. It takes a lot of design cues from vintage Submariners, including the red triangle at the 12 o'clock pearl and its pink gold text on the dial. First of all, I think that the Black Bay is one of the best modern value props, period. It wears on me like a sports watch because of its weight and its thickness and its bold black design. But even considering those factors on me, it would still serve as a pretty versatile watch. I think you can dress it up, definitely. In this case, the owner said he would be exchanging its place in his collection with a Rolex Datejust 1603 with a white buckley dial. So right off the bat, this person is leaning more towards the dress category than sport. And the Buckley Datejust, which is a dial that has painted Roman numerals instead of stick markers, is a beautiful and particularly dressy look within the Datejust line. And the indication that it's a 1603 pairs this dressier dial with a sportier bezel, which is the engine turn, which you'll find on the 1603 models. So with that in mind, let's compare the Black Bay 58 to the 1603 with a white buckley dial. First of all, I think it's worth pointing out that this is the standard Black Bay 58. Anyone else with a Black Bay 58 will have this same watch, whereas the Datejust comes in many different varieties and a white buckley dial on an engine turn bezel is actually uncommon. So you kind of have a unique and a little more personal watch if you're going with the Datejust, which could be a pro if that's what you're looking for. Second, the Datejust is thinner and is more easily dressed up, and because you're kind of changing from this watch to this one, it seems that that's kind of what you're going for. And third, of course, you have it stamped with the Rolex logo and brand name, which of course, if you know that Tudor is another brand founded by the Rolex founder, then maybe that doesn't mean anything to you, but if it does, there you go. Both movements are COSC certified and automatic winding, but obviously the Rolex Datejust is vintage, so it could need servicing sooner than the Black Bay. So do with that what you will. Good luck on your collecting journey. And the final question for this video, what is your favorite type of content to make and what will Theo and Hera's content look like after quarantine? On this channel, we've tried to make several different styles of videos, but what I love to make and what's become a really popular style of video for us is what we've called the collector story. The premise of interviewing watch collectors was sort of coined by Hodinkee in their Talking Watches series, but we wanted to take that concept in a slightly different direction. So we've shifted away from the interview style video and focus on capturing the individual in a sort of more natural environment. And by expanding beyond just their watches that they have in front of them, we've actually opened up the series and talking about the passions that these people have that relate to watches but aren't necessarily watches themselves. I think that as a watch enthusiast, it's really interesting to see the other things that other watch enthusiasts are really into. For example, we interviewed Dennis Frison, who is a tailor in New York, and he talks about his passion for clothing and for style, and obviously that relates to watches. We interviewed Salva Ambrosino, who has a company that's solely dedicated to rediscovering and giving a platform to Italian artisans and commissioning their work. So that's fun for me because I get to take all of this other inspiration these people have and visually incorporate it into the video, which is really fun creatively for me. Having the opportunity to hear someone's narrative, whether that's a person or a brand, which we're also doing, to hear that narrative and be able to take it and present it in a way that is creative and visually interesting. It's a really fun experience for me and Christian, and it's the type of video that we always wanted to see in this space. And haven't really yet. So it's a pleasure to be able to do that with watch collectors and with brands. Which brings me to post-COVID, which who knows when that'll really happen. We're sort of phasing out of quarantine, but it's still not finalized yet, so we don't really know when it's gonna happen, but we have plans to work with several brands and several industry figures, as well as many watch enthusiasts, and make more of this kind of content. So these sort of short film, collector stories, like brand narratives, that's what we're gonna focus on making once we can. So that's probably a good place to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, I'll be announcing the winner for the strap giveaway, so don't forget to subscribe and comment on the last video, which is right there and down below. If you want to enter to win, I'll have the video right here when this video is over, so you can just go ahead and watch it and respond. I'll see you all next week. This is one of the first GMT Masters Rolex ever produced, and while, as you would imagine, most 6542s were produced in steel, there were models made in yellow gold as part of the original GMT Master line. This wasn't some blingy limited run to meet specific consumer demands. Now compare it to the Submariner, released just 3 years earlier. Both are technically tool watches, but the GMT Master by no means screams tool the same way the Submariner does.